come to the question of the 108. It's a very interesting question, and I asked her to place it here in the group because there's something fascinating I have to share on that. See, in the whole domain of this cosmos, there are very few things which are absolute. Everything is changing, everything is relative, but there's something quite interesting. Numbers and their relationships remain constant. 2 plus 2 is equal to 4 from the beginning of the cosmos to the end of the universe. 2 plus 2 is equal to 4 here on Earth and on Jupiter and across any corner of the universe, isn't it? Isn't that an absolute? A relationship of numbers, but which is permanent. 24 is divisible by all these numbers permanently. And you see in numbers and numerical relationships something of the touch of the absolute represented in the relatives. That is why in the ancient traditions they saw numbers as having mystical power, representing aspects and powers of the divine. This is the basis of many of the magical symbols and signs where they play with numbers, numerology and other things. Numerology is still a very mixed thing, but the representation of numbers in what is called a magic square. You know what is a magic square? All the columns add up to the same number, all the lines, horizontal lines add up to the same number, and the diagrams add up to the same number. So magic square with the total adding up to 36, magic square with the total adding up to 24. You can create many of these. Interestingly, you can't create that for any number, but only specific numbers. And interestingly, those numbers are associated with certain powers. But the magic square is called magic square because it used to be used in magic. It actually creates a field of resonance invoking or evoking that particular quality. Now, what I'm getting to still at before I come to 108. So we realize numbers have special qualities, characteristics. And as is the case, all of us have an intuitive sense of these qualities of numbers. I'll just give you an example. Which number, I will mention two numbers. Which number do you feel to be softer, 24 or 23? That's interesting. Most of you at least are speaking of 24 as softer. Who said 23? Okay. Do you have a special relationship with 23? Okay. Most people will feel 24. Okay, tell me which one is feminine and which is masculine? Which is 23 is what? Now most people will tend to feel even numbers as feminine and odd numbers as masculine. Why? It's just a quality you feel. 24 you feel softer, 23 you tend to feel harder. You can actually play with various kinds of qualities with numbers and even a sound associated with certain numbers. And unless a person has a birthday on that number, a house number or some special affinity which may change your specific relationship with it, you'll find there are characteristics of each number. And this is just to show you that there are things about it we don't fully appreciate or understand. But most of all then, because numbers represent those aspects or powers of the divine, they tend to appear in the rhythms of the cosmos. 7 being the sevenfold manifestation of Brahman, 7 gradations of consciousness. Repeating everywhere in each gradation again sevenfold. Within that sevenfold, you will find 7 appearing all over, all the time, in every possible symbolisms. Similarly, 100 represents the whole, and you'll find 100 appearing in the Veda. There's a whole rationale for why it represents whole, etc. 1 of course represents the unity, and it's special. 2 represents the duality, and so on. These are obvious. 108 is very special. It has a certain mystical power. And because it has a power, it appears automatically in rhythms in the universe. And I'll show you something very special, specific to the Earth. You've seen a solar eclipse. the moon comes and fits the sun exactly. So exactly that it covers the disk of the sun and you see only the corona of the sun. It's a beautiful sight. And then moves off. Do you know that Earth is the only planet and the moon is the only moon where this combination occurs? Jupiter has some 20 moons. Pluto now has a 4th moon. Nowhere in the solar system do you have a moon which fits the sun's disk exactly to produce this beautiful experience. Only Earth has it. And this is because there is a certain mathematical proportion. From Earth to the sun, the distance, divided by diameter of sun, is exactly same as from Earth to moon, divided by diameter of moon. So you get this very clear geometrical proportion. Right? Interestingly, that proportion is 108. From Earth to the sun divided by diameter of sun is 108. From Earth to moon divided by diameter of moon is 108. Amazing, isn't it? Miraculous, you might say. It can't be a coincidence. There are 4 astronomical numbers: Earth to sun distance, Earth to moon distance, diameter of sun, diameter of moon. All 4 are bound together with 208s. Not coincidence. And yet, well, it could be coincidence. You are on the brink now. I'll push you a little further. The lunar eclipse, where Earth's shadow comes on the moon? Yeah. And Earth's shadow comes and fits the moon exactly. And why is that? Because there is a relationship between Earth's diameter and the sun's diameter and these distances. And what's the relationship? Sun's diameter divided by Earth's diameter is 108. Wow. Now you have 5 astronomical figures. Sun's diameter, Earth diameter, moon diameter, distance from Earth to sun, distance from Earth to moon, bound together by 308s. Can't be coincidence. Now you'll agree with me. Can't be coincidence. In fact, these proportions are so set that the Earth is just the right distance from the sun, that it's neither too hot nor too cold, which allows it to have the kind of life that we have. And the moon is just the right distance from the Earth, that it creates these tides, but does not either spiral into the Earth nor drift away, just keeps the balance. So, in this 108 signature, it's as if the one who put these 3 in relation for Earth life put the stamp of its signature and said, here, I did it, signed and sealed, 108. So in 108 we feel this special relationship, 3 times holding the earth, moon, sun together. But in the symbolism though, it has a beautiful meaning. If you observe the sun rising, and for the sun for all the ancient traditions was the symbol of the divine, the truth, the source of all light, all knowledge, the supramental consciousness. All traditions. And when you see the sun rising, if you had to walk to the sun to reach that source, that truth, how many steps would you take? And the step is measured now by the size of the sun that you see. How many sun steps will you take to reach the sun? 108. And suddenly 108 becomes as if a symbol of the steps you take to reach your goal, the divine. When you're doing your mala, each is a step towards the goal, and then you complete one cycle reaching the goal. And then start another cycle and another cycle. Deep symbol. But the 108 is even more interesting. It doesn't stop with that. This was just an astronomical relationship. There's more to it. The meaning of these numbers is something so subliminal, above mind, let's say. The power they hold is above mind. So intellectually you can see it in many ways, but the truth of it is held not intellectually. So I'm going to show you other ways of looking at it. And at some point it just stuns the mind, and then you kind of open to something else. You can feel it a little bit. So here we saw an astronomical alignment and how it could be represented and what it could mean quite intellectually or intuitively. Then we come into the earth and we look at the human consciousness. And we find that at the moment of birth, there's a particular imprint of astronomical influences which tends to shape our personality. And that's the basis of astrology. And we find in that the types of influence are so many. There are the 12 signs of the zodiac imprinting on you. And then those signs are modified by 9 planets moving across. And the total variations of influences which can imprint to shape your personality are 12 multiplied by 9, 108. Interesting, isn't it? All of us have an imprint of personality at birth, which is a combination of a selection of these 108 influences. Psychologically, we are so formed. But there's another influence more specific, much closer, more intense, especially to our emotional being, and that is the moon. And in the Vedic astrology, we find the moon goes around the whole earth once every about 28 days. 29 days. It's actually 28 and a half. I'm sorry. 27 days. Yeah, 27 days. It's about 27 and a half or 26 and a half. So 27 days the moon takes to go around. And each day that the moon moves across is described in astrology as one of the mansions of the moon. There are many stories which narrate to you the meaning of each of these mansions. So one of the stories, mythological, symbolical, is the moon had 27 wives. And each day he spent with one of them. And then you describe the qualities of each of the wives. One of them, Rohini, is his favorite. And because he likes to spend more time with her, so the father of all these 27 maidens, he curses the moon. You are condemned, therefore, to wane, to shrink and fade away. And moon says, I'm so sorry. My father says, all right, but I can't take back my curse, so every time you finish and fade out, you'll fade back in. So you have the lunar steps, and each step he fades in, fades out, etc. But each of these has a meaning, the 27 maidens, etc. Rohini is where the moon is exalted and most happy and most powerful. But each day, the moon moves 4 steps within the day. And each of the 4 has a different quality of influence. And then we find 27 multiplied by 4 and 108 lunar influences. And they change every 6 hours. So there are many rituals, magical or otherwise invocatory rituals, which depend on this timing and can be only started at specific times of the lunar steps. Much of this knowledge now is fading away, but it is still prominent in those who follow those rituals. So psychologically we find 108 appearing twice, impacting on our mind. Physically, another interesting relationship. In the science of dance, Bharatanatyam, the most ancient text on dance, manual of dance, as ancient, they say, approaching the time of the Vedas. It was revealed. And it does not tell you, this is correct dance, that is wrong dance. It does not teach you dance styles. It starts by saying, if the human body wants to express itself, what are all the gestures and movements by which it can express? It is a comprehensive body of knowledge. It doesn't limit, it liberates. And it categorizes all these movements. And then, there are certain movements which are not just gestures, they're all movements, they have to be dynamic. They categorize certain essential movements, which among all of them complete all possible expressions. And you cannot create another expression which is not already included in these. These are called karanas. And a master dancer is one who has mastered all the karanas. If you can master all the karanas, you are a great dancer. You can do anything with your body, express anything. You'll be perfectly fluid and flexible in your power of expression of any kind of consciousness. And as it turns out, the number of karanas are 108. And then we find another example in the human body again. But this is the body's design, remember. We find another example in the human body, the gestures, significant gestures of power. They are called mudras. So each gesture represents something. Now if you want to show anger towards another, automatically your hand goes into a fist, isn't it? Why? You didn't think about it. It's just the natural form the energy takes when you want to express that quality. What are all the qualities you could express, which would express as power to act and change circumstances? Now those who have the knowledge of mudras can actually change their internal or their external states by using these combinations of significant gestures. And as it turns out, the total number of significant gestures are also 108. I'll leave you with two more things. So this is human body and you have 208s in its design. I'll leave you with two more 108s. This goes into the physical, material, earth consciousness. We have the famous story in the Hindu mythology where Sati, who loves Shiva, is disappointed because her father refuses, does not permit Shiva to marry her because he is an ascetic. No way, he will not allow her to marry. So she is so upset, she jumps into the fire and she dies. There's a deep symbolism in the whole thing, which perhaps Alok can share with us later. But Shiva is so sad, he lifts her body. And in his passion of sadness, he dances the Tandava. And the whole universe begins to shake, and the whole universe will fall apart. And somehow, all the appeals of the gods are not heard by him because he is so lost in his sadness and remorse. And then Vishnu has to free him from that condition. He releases his disc, which goes and cuts up Sati into 54 parts, body parts. They all fall upon the earth, and each body part becomes therefore a sacred space. Shiva, of course, is freed from his delusion, goes back and does his meditation, and of course she is reborn and he weds her friend. But meanwhile, these body parts have fallen on earth, and they are considered to be sacred spaces to this day. There are temples at each of these. And it's interesting, there's one place where the left eye has fallen, another place where the right eye has fallen. And there's a whole occult symbolism here, each body part representing, manifesting a particular quality of consciousness. In the occult tradition, the left eye is the eye which looks within into the hidden worlds. The right eye is the one which looks outside into the apparent world. If you go to the seat of the left eye, you have there the consciousness of the power to gaze into the inner worlds, and so on. And these are very real living traditions to this day in India. Interestingly, wherever Sati has fallen, she is not alone. A part of Shiva's consciousness is with her also. The two together united, but now distributed in 54 parts, their total together is 108, he and she together bound. In manifestation, they are always together. And this same idea is represented visually in the mystical symbol representing the cosmos, which is called the Sri Yantra. You're familiar with that? It's a series of triangles interlocked, surrounded by a square-like structure. Very auspicious because it represents the whole cosmos and the Divine Mother in manifestation in the cosmos. The divine power as it turns to. And the Sri Yantra actually is a three-dimensional shape. There is a massive temple made in the shape of the Sri Yantra, which is Borobudur. If you have heard of it, look it up on the internet. It's done as a 3D shape of this. It represents the whole cosmos. And there's a whole deep symbolism in the triangles and all of it. They represent the different worlds and the levels from the one to the many. But interestingly, if you study the two-dimensional representation, the crisscrossing triangles, the total number of interconnections, crosses, are 108. And they represent in the descending and ascending triangles the two powers of Shiva and his Shakti. The consciousness presiding and the consciousness dynamizing, the two are always together. Even as the dynamic power flows to manifest, the presiding power supports and follows below. Each point of a manifestation is an outburst of a new multiplicity, and each of those is a new creative outburst, and each of those is a new creative outburst. Always he and she together. In Savitri there is this beautiful description of the play of he and she, and all this universe is only he and she. This is a very deep spiritual perception, but the Sri Yantra captures that, and the meeting of he and she complete is 108. So behind 108 now you can perhaps feel in all these different domains of manifestation, of organization of the cosmos, there is a common resonance of something which completes, which holds he and she together to create a complete manifestation. And physically, materially, on a astronomical level, Earth, Moon, Sun are bound with this same power, which allows them to manifest on Earth in a special way. Or because they manifest here in a special way, they represent in that astronomical relationship. So this is the secret, or a glimpse into the secret of 108. Shall we close with the concentration?
Yeah, sure.
For a minute.